My cheesecake has chilled overnight, so it's nice and firm, and now I can go ahead and remove this from the pan and portion it. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to take just a small paring knife, and I'm just going to gently run that around the outside of the pan just to loosen that edge up. I have a really nice smooth top surface for my cheesecake, and I don't want that to be disturbed. Sometimes it will still stick a little bit to the edge of the springform pan, and I don't want, as that edge comes out, that this will break anything on my cheesecake. So now I'll just pop that open. Cheesecake is beautiful. So really nice sharp edges there from the crust. So now I want to go ahead and get this off of my false bottom of my base. So because I planned ahead and I put parchment underneath there, this will be much easier to remove. I'm going to start just by taking my large chef's knife. I'm going to slide that right underneath, in between the crust and the board, and that should catch in between the parchment and the board. There we go. So now I can just lift this up right off of the base, and then I will invert this on one cake board. So I'll just flip that over. Now I can easily remove my parchment. Got a little bit off of there, but that's okay. And then now I'll flip this back over and put it on a new cake board. Try and make sure that's as centered as we can. Flip and gently peel that off. Beautiful. So now that I'm ready to portion this, I just like to use a chef's knife, and then I like to have some sort of damp towel. This is going to help give me a clean knife every time I cut. That's very important for cheesecake because it's so sticky when the knife goes in. If I was just cutting, every time that would start to build up on my knife, and every time I went to make a new cut, it would deposit that right on the top. So I want to keep this nice and clean and sharp. I'm going to use a pot of steaming water. Now you don't have to have a pot. This was just what I had that was tall enough for my knife to fit in here, because I want to make sure that the whole blade is getting heated. So we want to have a hot, clean, dry knife every time we make a cut. So I'm going to cut this cake into 12 pieces. Cheesecake is so rich that a little bit goes a long way. So I can go ahead first, and I'm gonna do just a little mark on this so that as I'm cutting, I can keep track of where my straight lines are going to be, so that I don't get going and I lose track of my lines, and then I end up with pieces that are not the same size, because of course we want to have everyone get the same size portion. So I'm just starting, I know you guys can't quite see on here yet. I divided this into 4, and then each quadrant I divided into 3, so that gave me 12 portions. So hot knife, get that nice and warmed up, give it a quick dry, And then I'm not gonna try and go farther than the length of my knife. So I'm only going just past halfway. I'm not gonna come over here to the edge and then try and move the knife a few times. That is not going to give me clean cuts. So it is a little bit more tedious if you have a shorter knife. If you have one the length of that you can get all the way across the whole cake, that is great. But sometimes that's just not what we have. So just use what's around you and make smart cuts.